As soon as the news broke out, I think on the 5th of August, when the resolutions were being read out by Sri Amit Shah on the floor of the House, media immediately jumped to the conclusion that Article 370, subclause 3, was being used to abrogate Article 370 altogether. Whereas, in fact, I think the government went about this particular issue in a very nuanced and an extremely creative manner, wherein they decided to invoke the power of the president under Article 370, Clause 1, Subclause D, to specifically make the Indian Constitution applicable to Kashmir in its entirety. And also, they used certain powers under 367, read with 370, to amend Article 370 altogether to ensure that it does not read the way it read prior to 5th of August, and so that there is no possibility of somebody again trying to change it in the future and bring it back to its previous position. So I think the government went about it extremely smartly. So contrary to popular perception, it has not been abrogated, it has not been repealed, it has been abridged and it has been amended. There is a clear distinction. So as far as I am concerned, as I've said before, they used 370 to render 370 almost ineffective, so that Jammu and Kashmir is brought at par with the rest of the Indian states as far as its relationship with the Indian Union is concerned. So I think that was a brilliant move. So at the national level, the one thing that it does is, since 370 was abridged, primary consequence of that is the complete repealment of Article 35A. Because what they did was, through a presidential order, they ensured that the current presidential order of the 5th of August replaces all the previous presidential orders, especially the presidential order of 1954, through which Article 35A was introduced. So I think this was less about Article 370 and more about Article 35A, because what we have to remember is Article 370 has always been treated as a temporary provision. And the reason temporary was used was not because someday it would have died its own death, but because there was a constitution for the state of Jammu and Kashmir that came into existence in 1956. So between the coming into force of the Indian Constitution on the 26th of January 1950 and the coming into force of the Jammu and Kashmir Constitution in 1956, there had to be a provision which effectively decided the relationship between India and Kashmir with respect to legislative powers, with respect to subject matters. So defense, communication, and foreign affairs was exclusively within the dominion of India, whereas other issues would have to be dealt with either based on consent or concurrence of the government of that particular state or the legislative assembly. Largely it is the government of that state. So 370 was meant to be a stopgap arrangement until the coming into force of the Jammu and Kashmir Constitution.
And was there any specific period mentioned that for how long will it be effective?
So frankly, there was no outer limit that was mentioned, given the nature of the situation, given that there were external factors which had to be taken into account. But most importantly, the idea was that this was not meant to be permanent at all. And the speed with which the Jammu and Kashmir Constituent Assembly worked towards the creation of a Jammu and Kashmir constitution was fairly quick, and which is why by 1956 you had a constitution. So strictly speaking, once the constitution of Jammu and Kashmir came into existence, I think in September 1956, effectively 370 had become redundant altogether because its job was done. Because the separation of subjects between the union and the state was decided by that constitution read with the Indian constitution. The problem was that in the interregnum, in 1954, they came out with the presidential order of 1954, where Article 35A was introduced. The good part about the Jammu and Kashmir Constitution is, I think, Article 2 or Article 3 of that Constitution itself says that it is and shall remain an integral part of the Union of India. So there is no question of any kind of secession merely because Article 370 is out of the window. And that relationship has been, and that particular decision has been cemented. So there is no question of any possibility of a legal ground being used to move away from India and to say that now we are a different country or a different state altogether. Okay. The reason why Article 35A had to be removed was there are any number of states in India, especially in the Northeast, who have been given some special provisions to protect their indigenous identity, to ensure that whenever land is taken over from tribal communities, there are certain special protections to ensure that the demographic composition is not completely altered. So, for instance, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, in fact, missionary activity in some of these states is expressly prohibited because it affects the indigenous identity. I think it should be extended to the entire country, but at least these states have that particular provision. So, some people may say that if these states have special provisions, what is wrong with the special provision of Jammu and Kashmir?
That is a question which is being asked.
Correct. The problem is what they don't realize is you can have some special provisions with respect to protection of your identity. You can have some special provisions with respect to land. However, they have a combination of a host of special provisions with respect to employment with state government, with respect to ownership of immovable property, with respect to who can qualify as a permanent resident, with respect to who can qualify as a citizen for the purposes of that state, with respect to who has voting rights and whatnot. So, this is perhaps the only state which was bestowed with so many special provisions and which effectively resulted in a situation where it moved from mainstream India. Okay, so here's I think a stark example which people don't realize, that people who fled religious persecution from West Pakistan and during partition and who went to Kashmir were not given permanent resident status, and therefore they had to move to other parts of the country or to Jammu. However, Rohingyas have been given permanent resident cards by the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and it is rumored that even Uyghurs from the Xinjiang province of China have now come to this part of the country. So here's a situation where Article 35A effectively allowed the state government to change and alter the demographic composition to the detriment of its own identity, to the detriment of the rights of Kashmiri Hindus, to the detriment of India's national security concerns and territorial concerns. Okay, so frankly speaking, this particular provision should have been thrown into the dustbin long ago, and it's surprising that it was not. So the government decided to, I think, finish two birds in one shot, which is 370 and 35A. And they were completely supported by several judgments, or at least two judgments of the Supreme Court, which allowed the president to exercise the power which he has in removing these provisions, or at least removing one provision and altering the other provision. So that is the legal consequence. The practical consequence is fairly clear, that now Indian government, the central government, will have a greater say with respect to what happens in that particular state, without allowing the local interests, the political interests of those states, to manipulate these the distance that has been created because of 370 and 35A. Again, and to manipulate those provisions to create an anti-Indian sentiment. Okay, that is one. Two, there is a beautiful book written by the erstwhile governor of that state, Sri Jagmohan, who was the governor when the Kashmiri exodus took place, the Hindu exodus took place. It's called Frozen Turbulence. I currently have the 12th edition, but if you read each of these editions, the one thing that comes clear is that in chapter 6 of the book, which is titled Roots, Article 370, he holds Article 370 responsible for the exodus of Kashmiri Hindus, saying Algavadi ka jo jad hai, that is Article 370 according to him. Separatist sentiments received a complete boost and support because of the provision.